All right, so hey everybody, it's Christina Holloway here. Today we're going to talk about imposter syndrome. What is imposter syndrome? It's usually a statement, eventually they'll find me out. Eventually they'll realize they made the wrong decision. This is a self-diminishing mindset. It's intended to downplay your previous experiences out of fear. Our minds are powerful. Our mind will unconsciously steer us away from areas that could be considered risky. And something considered risky is going into the unknown. So it is exciting to get a new job. It's exciting to transfer into a new department or work with a brand new team or even go to a new city and a new company. At the same time, there's fear. Fear can come across as I'm excited, I can't wait, I'm nervous, I'm anxious. And then you get started. You start doing the work and you realize I have a lot to learn here. And you potentially start to feel overwhelmed. And when you feel overwhelmed, this voice inside your head will say, I don't know if I can do this. I don't think they hired the right person. I had no idea this is how it was going to be. Eventually they're going to figure out I don't belong here. This is a temporary feeling, and it's also just a safety mechanism. It's your brain telling you, go back to what feels safe, because this is way outside your comfort zone. Now, it usually only lasts about 6 months, maybe a year, of you really getting your legs under you, figuring out the business, figuring out the policies and procedures, figuring out who you're supposed to work with, building new relationships with these people, and then moving forward and collecting some wins. Once you do that, once you start to feel comfortable at the company and with your job, it dissipates. That little bit of fear, that little bit of protection from your brain is starting to say, oh, you're going to be all right. Things are going to be good. There's that moment, though, before then, where it can feel crippling. It can really feel overwhelming, and that sense of dread doesn't go away quickly. Now, for me, I had imposter syndrome for a long time. I didn't just have it for a couple months. This started when I first started my business, and that was 20 years ago. I was very young, just 30, pretty young. And I had been laid off, but the company said, we'd really like to work with you. We still have work for you to do. Can you just come back as a contractor? Just start your own business and just bill us for the work. And I said, well, yeah, I guess I could. However, I knew nothing about having a business. I knew nothing about even invoicing or budgeting or figuring out how much I was worth or what to charge people. I went into it really, really blind, just agreeing that this setup might work. And it did work. I did it for 13 years with this company. I was a preferred vendor. I provided them with specific services, and they hired me repeatedly, and I had very good income. I had repeatable income. I went from having 6 figures right away into having a 7-figure business for a sustained amount of time. It was a boutique consulting company, and I provided writing services, and I provided project management services, and I was constantly getting hired. I worked really hard. But for me, the imposter syndrome always showed up as, the work you're doing is so easy, anybody can do it. Eventually, they're going to figure out how to do it themselves, and they won't need you anymore. It's ridiculous that they're paying you this amount of money to do this kind of simplistic work. Somewhere, someone's going to figure this out. But for me, it lasted a very long time. It lasted years. Mostly because I had no idea that there was a name for it and that there was a way to deal with it or address it inside my head. If you don't, like for me, you stay stagnant. I had a big client, and I really had no way of branching out. I doubled down on working with them too much and never really expanded that consulting business into anything bigger, which was detrimental for me in the long run. But in the short run, I was having some pretty good financial wins, and I was having sustainable work and felt like I was doing okay. Now, here's the thing. If you're struggling with imposter syndrome and it's lasting you more than just, the first couple of months or the first year, you have this constant feeling of no matter what I do, it feels like they're going to figure out I don't belong here. There's one thing that I learned how to do near the end that helped me reconcile my feelings, and that helped me really pivot my business into something where I could help more people, where I felt like I added value. And for me, that was to ask the question, why did they hire you? It's one simple question, and it constantly brings you out of your head and back into reality. Why? Because that question is related to what somebody else thinks. It's really important that you don't just listen to what's inside your head. Your brain is constantly going to tell you, there's danger here if you keep staying inside a space that's uncomfortable for you. Retreat, retreat and go back to what it's comfortable, because your brain's trying to protect you. Now, in reality, what you want to do is remind yourself, why did they hire me? And I did this. I asked them every year, why do you need me on your team this year? Not because I needed them to justify it, but I did need to have an external conversation with somebody who could validate the value I was giving to them. And they would tell me, we have 6 new projects. We need you to build out the management plan so that we can get this successfully across the finish line. And then we have a number of new materials that need to be rebranded, and we need you to start proofing and editing this material and then managing the writing team. And what did I learn? Well, in those descriptions, what you'll learn is I was managing, and I was actually leading a number of initiatives. So I was learning how to lead from the front instead of just contributing as part of a group. And then also, it helped me realize they didn't have anybody on their team who could do it. And when I said to myself, oh, as soon as somebody learns how to do it, they won't need you anymore, I did learn that the leader for the department said, I don't want anybody else on my team to learn what you do. That's a waste of their time. And that for me was really important. It helped me understand that I was one specific, unique contributor to a team, and that my unique skills that I took for granted, others found deeply valuable. My job wasn't just doing easy things like, for me, project management. My job was more about helping them run things more smoothly, and it was about creating clarity. So this is my example of what imposter syndrome looked like, and I'm sure for you, your example is going to be much different. But what I do want you to understand is, the sooner you can get outside your head, and the sooner you can even document somewhere where somebody gives you information and tells you, this is the reason we have you on our team. Keep it written down somewhere. It's very easy to forget and to say, oh, I don't know so much, right? I don't know all these new things. I don't know any of the stuff that these people are working on right now. But, however, you do know something from your past that you brought forward. That's the thing that you have to stay anchored to. Something from a previous experience is what interested them and what made them consider you when they brought you on board. That's the thing you anchor yourself to. Eventually from there, you build upon your skills. Within a year, you should be up and running with a business and understand what your role is, and then also collect a number of wins so you're no longer feeling this imposter syndrome. At the same time, you could find that it's pervasive, like I did. And you could find that it doesn't ever go away, that you're doing something that your strength is so strong that it's so easy, and you ask yourself, why am I doing this, and do I feel like I'm not being challenged in life? And in that space, ask yourself how you're contributing to the bigger narrative, like the bigger issues for the business. What's the big strategic initiative or the big strategic implications for why you're there? And when you do that, you may find that's not the department where I belong, or maybe I should be working with the company in a different capacity. Like I did, listen to what's inside your head, because if the imposter syndrome is pretty prevalent and it keeps nagging at you, you may realize, I actually think I might need something bigger than this. And it's okay. It's okay to collect your experiences where you are and then figure out a bigger strategy to go bigger later. But make sure that you're understanding why you're feeling this way, what the environment is where you're sitting, and then ask yourself for external validation so that you can stay anchored while you continue to learn. And that's it for this video on imposter syndrome and how to deal with imposter syndrome so that it doesn't take over your career success. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.